Have you looked up lately? The sky above our cities is on the verge of a massive change. A whole new low-altitude economy is taking shape right over our heads. But with all the buzz, what's actually real? Today, we're going to cut through the hype and find out. Welcome, everyone, to the Floathouse Salon. Here, we break down the big, complex ideas that are shaping our future. And today, we're diving into a really fascinating new report that gives us a strategic map for this new economic frontier. Our guide for this journey is the 2025 Low Altitude Economy Scenarios White Paper 2.0. It's a brand new analysis hot off the press from the China Society of Aeronautics and Astronauts. And they are tackling the one huge question that's on everybody's mind, right? We hear about flying cars, air taxis, delivery drones constantly. But let's be real for a second. How much of that is just sci-fi hype? And what's actually ready for takeoff, like right now? Well, that is the exact question this white paper was designed to answer. So let's start by thinking about this new economic sky. It really is like a new frontier. It's a space that's just jam-packed with incredible promise. But, it's also filled with a ton of complexity for any business or government trying to figure out where to even begin. And that brings us to the core problem, the big challenge the researchers wanted to solve. You've got literally hundreds of potential uses for this airspace, from spraying crops to emergency rescue operations. So how on earth do you decide which ones are worth betting on? Where do you invest your time, money, and resources? You need a system. So how did they do it? Well, they came up with something really clever, a blueprint, if you will, to understand the very DNA of any low-altitude scenario. They call it the 5+4 system. So what is this 5+4 system? Think of it like a universal translator or a set of Lego bricks. It's a powerful framework that breaks down any idea, any application, into 9 essential components. And what's so great about that is it gives everyone, from the engineers building the drones to the investors funding them, a common language to analyze and compare different ideas. Okay, so here's the breakdown. It's actually pretty simple when you see it. Every single scenario is built from these 9 blocks. You've got the 5 core elements. That's the what. What kind of aircraft? What's its payload? What's the core technology? Then you have the 4 environmental elements, and that's the where and how. What airspace is it using? What infrastructure does it need? What are the rules? And of course, what are the risks? Okay, so once they could map out the DNA of any scenario, they needed a way to actually use that information. They needed to turn all that complex data into something simple, something actionable. A strategic compass. And here it is. This is their solution, the value matrix. It might look a little technical, but the idea behind it is incredibly simple and frankly brilliant. It plots every single scenario on 2 absolutely crucial axes. Along the bottom, you have supply maturity, basically, how ready is the technology today? And then up the side, you have demand growth. How much does the market actually want this thing? So this creates 4 very distinct zones. Down in the bottom left, the observation quadrant. These are future concepts, things to keep an eye on. Over in the top left, you have strategic scenarios. People really want these, but the tech just isn't there yet. That's a huge flag for R&D investment. In the bottom right is cultivation. The tech is ready, but the market needs a little convincing. And then, the holy grail, the top right corner, the star quadrant. This is where the magic happens. These are the ideas where the tech is mature and the demand is high. They are ready to go. So this is the really exciting part. What happens when you take dozens and dozens of real-world scenarios and actually plot them on this matrix? Well, the results, they're pretty eye-opening. And here you go. This is what it looks like. Each one of those little dots is a different low-altitude application. And you can see it immediately, right? There's this clear cluster forming in the top right quadrant. These are our star scenarios. The report identifies 8 of them that are primed for explosive growth right now. So let's zoom in on a couple of examples. First up, let's look at one called urban governance. The white paper describes this as creating a unified one network where drones become the new grid workers in the sky for our smart cities. Now, instead of every city department, police, fire, public works, having its own separate drone program, this one network approach lets them all share the same fleet. So a drone can automatically patrol for traffic violations, then go spot illegal construction, and then swing by the river to check water quality, all while feeding that data back to one central hub. It means a city that runs smarter, safer, and way more efficiently for all of us. Okay, next up, we have another star scenario that's maybe a little less sci-fi and a lot more, well, industrial. The report calls it UAV lifting, but let's just call them what they are, heavy lifting drones. This is all about using super powerful drones to do the work of cranes and helicopters, especially in places that are dangerous, expensive, or just plain impossible to reach. And the economic impact here is just staggering. I mean, look at this real-world case study from Sichuan. You have bamboo farmers in these super steep remote mountains who could barely get their harvest to market. By using these drones, they boosted their transport efficiency by up to 60 times and slashed their costs by a third. That's not just a small improvement, that is a total transformation of a local economy. And you can see how this scales, right? This isn't just about bamboo. Think about building power lines in the mountains, delivering emergency supplies after a natural disaster, or lifting an HVAC unit onto a skyscraper in a crowded city. Anywhere a traditional crane can't go, these heavy lifting drones are an absolute game changer. All right, so after all of that, what are the big takeaways? If you're gonna remember just a few things from this entire analysis, what should they be? The white paper boils it all down to 3 crucial conclusions. First, they've given us a unified framework. That 5+4 system is so valuable because it creates a common language so everyone can be on the same page. Second, they've built a real, practical decision-making tool. The value matrix isn't just a cool academic theory. It's a strategic compass that companies and governments can use today. And third, and this is probably the most important part, they've identified clear near-term priorities. We now know which scenarios, like urban governance and heavy lifting, are ready for major investment and expansion, not in the future, but right now. So what this all tells us is that the low-altitude economy isn't some far-off futuristic dream anymore. It's being built, methodically and strategically, as we speak. The new sky is coming, for sure. The only question left is, what are you going to see when you look up?